Hey, everybody. Welcome back to a special episode of Big Apple Hockey where we're recapping a couple of the New York series right now and also looking at the some of the series around the league. This has been a crazy NHL playoffs right now. I, of course, am your host, Marc Williams, and my opinions on Tom Wilson are well stated. And Anthony and I were just having a nice little rant about that before we got on. And I'm joined with the man who's looking to channel Pearl Jam and stay alive, Mr. Anthony LaRocco.
Yes, the Islanders are staying alive, and the Capitals, well, I'm not quite sure they even knew they were in the playoffs because they might as well not have been with with that performance. But
I gotta agree with you on that, Anthony. I mean, I do think the Capitals played well for what the Capitals were. They were a team that scraped in. They were a team with a minus 37 goal differential. They just weren't a match. They weren't a match for the Rangers, and you know what? They played tough. You look at this series, there's a lot of factors. I got a lot of statistics we're going to throw on in, but we're going to look quickly at the New York Rangers and then talk about the New York Islanders trying to stay alive tomorrow night. But the Rangers sweep the Capitals, advance to the second round. They wait the winner of the Islanders and the Carolina Hurricanes. Mika Zibanejad, big series, 7 points. Only two goals for Artemi Panarin, but they were both game winners. And Vinny Trocheck, a huge series. I got some other stats for you that I'll throw out there. But Anthony, what stood out for you in the Rangers sweep of the Capitals? Anthony, you're muted.
Oh, what stood out to me was that this was the closest thing you can come to a first round bye for the Rangers. Like, there was zero doubt that the Rangers were going to win this series. If I were a Ranger fan, for me, like, the playoffs are supposed to bring some like anxiety and like those intense, emotions and feelings, but I don't think anybody even thought for 1 second that the Capitals had a realistic chance to win this series. And now for the Rangers, round two really starts the playoffs for them, for my opinion, because they're going to be likely facing the Hurricanes, and that's going to be a much taller task for the Rangers. But kudos to them. They took care of a team that they should have, and they're moving on. But I mean, for me. There was no doubt that the outcome of this series was going to be what it was, which was a sweep. I mean, I think I said 5 games, but I'm pretty sure everybody, expected the Rangers to win in either 4 or 5, and they did.
Yeah, all of us, I believe, said 5 games when we did the playoff preview. The thing that stood out for me in this series was just every level of the game, the Rangers dominated. The one thing I did not include in a lot of these statistics that I'm running up there, I mean, the Rangers had 10 different goal scorers in the series. That's incredible. 2 shorthanded game-winning goals. That's incredible. Igor Shesterkin, great numbers, 930 save percentage. Yet again, a 931 in the first round for the second consecutive year. Anthony, I think one thing the Capitals did do was it showed the Rangers had a little bit more, as they would say, chutzpah than what people might think. They would just go, you get the criticism, the Rangers are soft. The Rangers are soft. Well, they weren't soft in the series. Every time the Capitals came out to pressure them physically, the Rangers answered. Whether it was Matt Rampy or some of the other things, like all Tom Wilson's antics, nobody cared. As all the Rangers stood up for themselves. Even Artemi Panarin laying that hit, and again, Caps fans, that was a clean hit on TJ Oshie. Like when the Capitals wanted to get knocked the Rangers off their games, they couldn't. And look, the Capitals, they're not what they were anymore. They're not a Stanley Cup contender. I thought Spencer Carberry did a great job with them, and Charlie Lindgren was not going to be the goalie to carry the load.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's Charlie Lindgren. He was a man on an island out there. I mean, the Capitals, credit to them for sneaking in the playoffs, but they weren't a playoff team. I mean, it showed in their goal differential. They're old, they're slow. They had a lot of problems matching the Rangers' speed. And again, it was a total mismatch from the start. And I think the Rangers were able to beat them not playing their best hockey. Because at times, they didn't play their best hockey, but they were still able to beat them because they're that much more skilled than the Capitals. So, credit to the Rangers for taking care of them in short order. But now in the next round, they're going to have a much tougher matchup in the Hurricane. And even if the Islanders somehow come back and win the series, even the Islanders will present a much harder challenge than the Capitals did. So the Rangers should use this time off to prepare. But next round is going to go totally different for them. I can tell you that much. There's going to be those nail biting scenarios, and there will be some losses because they're not going to sweep the Hurricanes. It's going to be much more intense, and I think for Ranger fans it's going to be a lot more stressful because again, for me, this series, I didn't see any reason for the Rangers to stress even once.
Yeah, but they're also the Rangers. And that's the thing about them, too. They're a team that they never make anything easy for you. New York teams rarely make anything easy for you. The Islanders always embrace the underdog label. And that's why I think maybe there's a different mindset that they had with that when they went on their runs that went deep. But when you have the Rangers, if this was last year, Anthony, and Gerard Gallant was still the coach, this is going 6 games, and there's at least one overtime game in there. And you're because Gallant was not able to harness the way this team should have been playing. It just he didn't. He was not a coach that made adjustments. You saw Laviolette just kind of guide this team perfectly through this series. And that's what a seasoned coach that has been through enough things like Peter Laviolette has done. He's won a Stanley Cup. He's won President's trophies. He's been the underdog team that's beaten the favorite team. He's been through almost everything you could throw at him. And when the Caps came with their best in the series, and they only led for 3 minutes and 26 seconds, I think it was, in the entire series. But when they came with their best, Laviolette just calmly said, "All right, we're doing this," and then that's it.
Yeah, I think Laviolette's clearly a much better coach. We all know that, but I disagree to an extent. I think even with Gallant as the head coach, the Rangers still would have handed the Capitals pretty easily because the disparity in talent is just so much more tipped in the Rangers' favor. I mean, the Capitals again, they really even shouldn't have been there. You know, I I just think that the Rangers were able to beat them just on their skill alone. I think not to take anything away from Laviolette, but I mean I think the Rangers would have won that series with Mark Williams as the head coach. I do. I don't know. I again it wasn't close even for 1 second, and again the Rangers took care of business in quick order, so kudos to them. But I thought that there are areas of the game that they need to clean up, and I'm sure they will with this time off now. But again, the Capitals just couldn't match them. I mean, they're a slow team, and the Rangers skated circles around.
But also, again, to point out something else, a lot of other Ranger fans will tell you this: this team has never made it easy. Like even when they were at their best, when they won a President's Trophy, when they went to a Stanley Cup final, when they were the number 1 team in the East. So we got 2012, 2014, 2013. They still had to go to 7 games in 1-goal games every single time. There weren't really nail biters this entire series, and I think that's a big thing. We're going to get to more on that later, and of course, your comments, guys. First, let's also, and we're going to go around the league too and talk about some of these series. Anthony, let's look at tomorrow night. Speaking of your Islanders, well, it's supposed to be 7:00 right there. I'll correct that right now. But the Islanders are going to be playing tomorrow, 7 p.m. What does this team have to do to force Game 6?
I mean, they just need to play, more the way they played in Game 4, or even rewind to last year. Last year they were down 3-1. They went into Carolina and they won a big Game 5. I think for them it's just get on the board early, try to score the first goal, don't fall behind. And don't let Carolina get going, because once they get going in the offensive zone, and if you listen to anything that the Islanders players had said in interviews, it's hard for them to stop their momentum once they get going. And if you let them rev up that engine and their D pinch along the boards to keep the puck in and getting chance after chance, it's hard to stop that momentum. So the Islanders need to get the puck out of their zone cleaner. I think they need. It's very important to score the first goal, maybe even the first 2 goals, because the crowd in Carolina is going to be raucous tomorrow. They get one early, that's going to make it even harder. If the Islanders can get the first goal, maybe quiet the crowd a little bit and try to limit their chances, I think the Islanders might be able to pull off a Game 5 win there in consecutive years. So, this series, when you look at it on paper, the Hurricanes are down, 3. The Hurricanes are up 3-1. If you look at it, like, Marc, Game 1, take away the empty net goal. How many goals did the Hurricanes win by?
Just one.
Marc, Game 2, if you take away the empty net goal, how many goals did the Hurricanes win by?
Just one.
Marc, Game 3, how many goals did the Hurricanes win by?
Just one.
And then Game 4, the goal the Islanders won, 1 goal. So the series is a lot closer than what it is. If it weren't for that heinous, blown 3-goal lead that they blew, the series would be 2-2. So it's closer than it appears. The Islanders they just have to, they can't let the Canes get going, because they're an absolute buzzsaw. And I just have to, this comment grinds my gears a little bit. Credit the Rangers won. Congratulations, they won. I said it. They took care of business, but I'm not going to jump up and down that they beat a team that was a minus 30-something goal differential and was severely mismatched against the Rangers.
He also did say that the Rangers are much more talented.
Yeah, I mean, what do you the Rangers?
I mean, that's credit on that one, Rob. I agree with you, buddy.
They took care of business. I said it before. They took care of business, and credit to them. But they beat a really bad team that didn't even come close to matching up against a powerhouse of New York Rangers. So just stop with the whole bias, because we all know I call it like it is. So
yeah,
it's not that. If the Islanders played the Capitals and they beat them in 4 games, and they won the President's Trophy, I would say the same thing.
Yeah, I think you did give the Rangers enough credit in that. I mean, I think your comments more directed towards the Capitals on that level. I do happen to think, I think it's still a little bit more what the Rangers did, and also knowing what their tendencies are. But let's finish up with the Islanders on this one. I do think this series is a little bit closer.
And I will point out this, because you're very anti-Islander, so I will give you credit there. I am acknowledging that, and I appreciate that. However, I think wanting the Islanders to win has more to do with, you feel that the Rangers would have easier time. So I get it, but beggars can't be choosers. But nonetheless, thanks for that.
I think the results in this series has been going to this series. That it's only lopsided only because it goes in waves and it goes each way. I was watching that game Saturday, Anthony.
Me as well.
Yeah, I've been watching it and going, how are the Islanders even on the same ice as the Hurricanes? It seems like they're not even getting any pressure. Matt Barzal stops short on Brady Shea, takes a wrist shot, it goes in, and then suddenly the Islanders were an offensive forechecking machine. And you're going, wow, okay. Pajot scores. Okay, they're going to win this game. They take the penalty. You knew that the Canes were scoring on the power play. It was just that.
Yeah.
simple.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I knew that was happening. The minute that you're talking about the Bortuzzo penalty that led to the tying goal, correct? Yeah. Certainly, I saw that coming from a mile away.
And one thing we hypothesized was moving Sebastian Aho back into the lineup instead of Bortuzzo, and Bortuzzo comes up with not only that penalty, but he also comes up with the game-winning assist on the Barzal goal. So
yeah, that game, I thought the Islanders showed resiliency. I mean, after the Hurricanes tied the game, being down 3-0, they could have easily just took their bag and went home and be like, oh, well, it's over. But they didn't. They hung in there. They battled, and that's after the game. Patrick Waugh said that he was incredibly proud of his team, that they didn't give up. And when you're down, I think when you're down 3-0, it's easy to to kind of just look ahead and start planning your summer vacations and kind of mentally check out. And I don't think the Islanders did that. I don't think that's the makeup of the group. I think that they obviously still want to win this series and compete for a Stanley Cup, but we'll see what kind of effort they bring to Carolina tomorrow.
Mhm.
Last year in Carolina, they won a big Game 5. I mean, we all knew what happened in Game 6. The Hurricanes finished the job, but this is, you got to also too, Mark. Remember the Hurricanes? They came close to winning the President's Trophy as well and battling the Rangers for that top spot. So if the Islanders were to win Game 5 tomorrow, that puts just a little bit more pressure on the Hurricanes to say, okay, well, now we're in a Game 6 situation, and we're one loss away from our backs being against the wall as well. So if the Islanders can pull out a win tomorrow, you might see a little bit of a shift in terms of not only momentum, but just in the Hurricanes playing with a little bit more pressure on them. Because the last thing they want to do is go back to, even though they're going to be at home, the last thing they would want to do is go back to Game 7 and even have to put themselves in that situation. But first, as you heard the Isles players say, and it's cliche, all hockey players will say it, you got to take it, one period, one game at a time. The Islanders can't look forward to Game 6. They got to have their focus on, period 1 tomorrow, and then win a period, and then hopefully win a game. But again, this series really should be 2-2. Unfortunately, the Islanders kind of just folded their tent up in Game 2, and that if they lose a series, that's what's going to really come back to bite them there.
Yeah, and I did also have this hypothesis of going to overtime too much. I think they were starting to think about, oh, we're going to overtime. In the meantime, Jordan Martinook was thinking about winning the game in regulation, but that's just me. Anthony, there was actually an incident that happened last week, and I use the term incident. There was a report that went around. I want to get your thoughts on this because I still maintain I would have had Ilya Sorokin in there. And you got all the reports that came out. Ilya Sorokin abandoned the team. He went in the locker room. We know that's not true. And you have the picture of him in the hallway, kind of
Mask still on.
Yeah, mask still on. I have the picture of it right over here.
Yeah.
I just want to get I want to get your thoughts on the Ilya Sorokin pull, and is this going to have any lingering effects?
I mean, I think what you're seeing is, Mark, is you have, and I mentioned this before, you have Patrick Waugh. He came in just this year in January, so for him, it's yes, he doesn't care about how Sorokin has been one of the best goalies in the league since he's come into the league. He wasn't there for that. What he sees is he came into a team this year. Just coincidentally, Sorokin happens to be having an off year, so for him, there's that, and there's the factor that one of the few guys he knows on the team and has experience with is Semyon Varlamov.
Mm-hmm.
And, Varlamov, he's comfortable with him. He knows him. And Varlamov has played, better. Let's just call it like it is. So naturally, he's going to go with Semyon Varlamov. But as you always see in the media, they love to make, stories and try to create a controversy and, paint a picture as, Sorokin going to be unhappy now with Waugh here and all this. And I don't think that's the case. I think Ilya Sorokin knows that he hasn't played to his ability this year. He's a team guy. He wants to see the team win. Him and Varlamov have a great friendship, so he's certainly rooting for Varlamov. I just think he's disappointed in himself, really, and that's really all there is to it. He knows he has to be better, and I'm sure he will be better. He'll bounce back. And that I'm pretty confident of. But some of these things like, oh, should the Islanders look to to trade him, and it's just it's just lunacy. I mean, should the Lightning trade Vasilevsky because his save percentage was 900? Should the Stars trade Jake Ottinger because he had a bad year and his save percentage was under 900? Should the Rangers trade Igor Shesterkin because his save percentage didn't crack 915? It's the answer to all these questions are absolutely not. So I think that for now it's Woznet, but I think at the beginning of next season, Sorokin will come back and he's going to be a man on a mission to do whatever he can in the offseason to get back to what he's always been. So I don't think there's anything to it. I just think he's upset with his play.
Anthony, I just want to. I wanted you to address this because I also want to get to. Or do you think he overplayed last year?
Before you finish that, yeah, I think this is Ilya Sorokin faced the most shots in the National Hockey League this year. The way Lambert had them playing was unsustainable, and yeah, I think he got burnt out. I certainly think that played a role in what you saw this season. So state of survival, that's a goal out there because I think that holds some water here.
There was a lot of people like you go on Instagram, you scroll past hockey pages, they're predicting the big trades that are going to happen. And yeah, it's like, yeah, the Islanders are going to trade Ilya Sorokin, some of them are saying. And I have to laugh about that. You're going to trade a Vezina caliber goaltender who you identified as your franchise goalie, signed him to an 8-year deal, 8.25, and you're thinking, oh yeah, he had a down season, let's trade him. No. First off, what team is taking that contract right away? Secondly, the Islanders, look, Sorokin's your guy. You stick with Sorokin. He had a down season. And if somebody understands how he feels right now, probably Patrick freaking Waugh, because after all, he had one of the most devastating pulls in his career, and he walked up to the owner of the Canadiens and said, "This is my last game in Montreal," or the GM, I forget which one it was. And sure enough, that was his last game in Montreal, but he's been pulled. He's had those moments. He was embarrassed, and speaking of that game, worse than anyone else. Look, Ilya Sorokin's going to come back, and he's going to come back a better goaltender. But the thought of the Islanders are going to deal Ilya Sorokin, please. What's their alternative then? What's their alternative? I mean,
that's exactly it. Even if, because now there's like I'm sure when we talk about other series, we can get into it, but the Leafs are imploding with Nylander yelling at Marner, telling him this isn't juniors, and they're going to get bounced again. There's some speculation that Mitch Marner is going to get traded. So now you have.
I think that is going to happen. By the way,
you have Marner for Sorokin, and even if you did that, then what? Your goaltender is a 35-year-old Semyon Varlamov, and what do you do for the future? It's just not feasible across the board. He's not getting traded despite what happened this year. He's still one of the best goalies in the league. That doesn't change. And he'll be fine next season. So, but for now though, he's rooting on Varlamov. He is, and hopefully Varlamov can keep this going. And he's got a .930 save percentage in the playoffs, which is damn good.
Yeah.
So hopefully Varlamov can keep playing like he's playing and give the Islanders a chance here.
And we'll see how I look in 2 weeks. If I'm going to be clean shaven or if the beard's going to keep on going. Not quite as thick as the man to my left, but still working on that. And guys, also, I should have the playoff previews. I have not started them. I'm probably going to start them within the next couple days. And hopefully we see what teams the New York Rangers are playing next week. We're all assuming it's the Hurricanes, but
yeah, I mean,
Anthony, go ahead.
If you're a Ranger fan, what you just hope to see right now is just the Islanders extend the series, because the longer the series goes, the more tired both teams are going to be. So if you're a Ranger fan, you're certainly rooting for the Islanders to bring this to 6 or even 7 games. And then at that point, it doesn't matter who wins. You just hope that whatever team is limping into next round.
Yeah, and then we're going to hear a lot about the rest versus rust comparison all the time for that.
Yeah.
But Anthony, let's go around the league real quick before we start taking some more user comments. And you guys are going to have questions. We're going to be here to answer a lot of them. But what about that crazy game in Nashville yesterday where Brock Besser had all 3 goals for the Vancouver Canucks? The final one was 6.6 seconds ago after Colton Sissons hit the post on an empty net. And Nashville, which looked like, if you look at the stats, you wonder how the hell they lost those 2 games in Nashville. But now Vancouver has a chance to go back and end the series. You think Vancouver closes it out?
Yeah. I think that's a tough, that's a tough one for Nashville to come back with. I mean, they were 2 inches away from tying up the series at 2, and Sissons hits the post. So that was tough. I mean, that was like, I felt for the Predator fans in the arena, because you first year out a high, you're like, oh, this, we're gonna tie the series up, hit the post, and then Vancouver ties the game and then wins it in overtime. That was insane. And you got to feel for Colton Sissons, because the weight that he probably feels on his shoulders now is pretty heavy. And but that's why our game is so great, right? They say it's a game of inches, and it's certainly turned out to be true there. But credit to Vancouver for not giving up, for keep pushing. And now they have a stranglehold in the series, and they have a shot at advancing to the next round. So good for them. But yeah, actually, before I kind of finish that point, the fact that they're up 3-1 and they've had 3 different goaltenders get a win is pretty crazy. First, you have Demko wins game 1, then he gets hurt. Then the Smith gets a victory, gets hurt, and now Silovs last night, comes in and first ever playoff game and steals a victory. So pretty incredible for them. The fact that they're on their 3rd string goalie and they're up 3-1, that's insane.
That is insane. And I predicted Nashville was going to win this series in 6. Obviously, they are not, even if they do win the series. But this is one of those things that Nashville just could not seize the opportunity, and Vancouver wouldn't let them. Credit to Vancouver for what they were able to do. Let's look over to LA and Edmonton, shutting out LA 1-0 last night. And Stuart Skinner, who called himself out earlier in the series, he looked really good. Edmonton's got to finish this off when they go back for game 5, right?
I mean, this one, I'll say LA has more of a chance to win, I think, next game than Nashville, just because I think Nashville's going to be hard to come back from that. But I mean, even if LA wins, Edmonton's winning this series. I mean, it's. I think, again, this is a series that everyone. I don't know if there was anyone that I know of that picked LA, but Edmonton's just they're the faster team, the more skilled team, and they just have everything going for them right now. I mean, Zach Hyman has what? He has already 5 goals in the playoffs so far.
Yeah.
They're just he's just continuing on a fairy tale story for him this season with the 50 goals and now in the playoffs. But I think Edmonton's going to finish this off.
It wouldn't be a Big Apple Hockey podcast if I didn't say Cam Talbot, who had the 2nd best save percentage among starting goalies after the All-Star break. Ilya Sorokin was number 1. Talbot played great to close out the season. 861 save percentage in the series is not going to get it done.
No,
I mean,
nope.
You're better off putting a shooter tutor in net, and that'll help. So but I mean, I don't see how LA does it. Let's see if they can slow down Edmonton. Colorado winning yesterday, and as someone sent me a video of All Hail Kale yesterday, I'll just say he is on the podcast right now. And this one is a little bit more of a shocker to me. I thought Winnipeg was going to make this more of a series. Actually, I thought they're going to win in 6. When I did my bracket, the one we did together, you had Colorado in 6.
Yep.
This is just Colorado's going to win this series now, right?
I mean, this one surprised me a little bit. Yes, I picked Colorado, but I thought it would be closer. I mean, Winnipeg was a really, really good team. I mean, they have a lot of firepower between Scheifele and Ehlers and Connor. Lowry is a real good player. But Colorado is just flexing their muscles on them. I mean, they're just Makar, McKinnon, Nikushkin, it's Devon Taves, Rantanen. It just doesn't stop with them. This is even with having a goalie that Georgiev in net that's not even that good.
Yeah.
I mean, Georgiev is outplaying Hellebuck right now, and Hellebuck is a Vezina finalist, just announced today, along with Bobrovsky and Demko. Probably might even win it, but Colorado's going to wrap this up. I'm just surprised. I thought this is a series that could go 6 or 7 games and might not even get that far. But scary scene with Winnipeg, though, with Nemestikov getting drilled in the head with that puck. Just want to mention that. Hopefully he's okay. And then there was the Brendan Dillon skate cut on his hand.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah. So this for Winnipeg right now, they're kind of like the walking wounded here. But I guess you never know. Connor Hellebuyck is one of the best goalies in the league. Maybe he steals a game and gets them back in it. But yeah, Colorado's just too good.
I'm also looking at these goaltending numbers and just marveling at some of them. Like the fact that Connor Hellebuyck, all of us would say, if there was a Team USA international tournament right now, that's your starter. You're going right to him. 860, not 861, 870 save percentage right now in the playoffs.
Yep.
Not going to get it done. And Alexander Georgiev, 885. It's not like he's stopping everything that's coming his way.
Nope.
So I think there is a chance because it's not Vancouver. Winnipeg is that good of a team, but they could win at home. They just got to win the one on the road in Colorado. Then who knows? Maybe we could see a game 7. Because the only series that looked like it was going to go 7, I thought, was once they got rolling, Maple Leafs and Bruins. I thought it had all the makings, and then, oh my God, that game Saturday night. If you're a Leafs fan, I just feel for you. Like the TJ Brody play at the end of the second period, where he's caught in no man's land. He decides to step up on Brad Marchand, and he pokes it loose 2-on-0, and leads to a Pastrnak goal. And then they don't look right. Nothing looks right with the Leafs. You got to change something, and it's the definition of insanity.
Mark, I mean, how long have we been saying now if the Maple Leafs exit the playoffs early that they have to shake things up with their core 4, if you will, or whatever you want to call them. And each year, have they done it?
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, they let Dubas go, or he kind of walked, but something's got to change there. I mean, if they lose again, they got to do something, and that kind of circles back to now let's talk about Mitch Marner. I mean, Biz. I don't know if you saw Biz ripped Marner in an intermission. They're yelling at each other on the bench with Matthews and Nylander, and Marner's throwing his gloves. John Tavares looks like he's a semi truck with missing 3 wheels. I mean, he's not doing anything. Something's got to change there. If they lose, I could certainly see Marner getting moved because you just re-signed Nylander, so he's not going anywhere. Austin Matthews isn't going anywhere.
You're certainly not going back to Arizona either.
Yeah, so in terms of a big shakeup, that leaves Marner because Marner is 1 year away from unrestricted free agency, so he's the one that makes sense to move. And I think if they lose, you have to move him. I mean, yeah, maybe in a perfect world you want to move Tavares, who has 1 year left, but I mean, how are you trading that salary with 11 and a half? I mean, that's a lot of money even if you retain. And then there's that whole pesky no movement clause. How many teams would Tavares move? Well, no, he's not going to be an FA this year. He's got 1 year left.
Yeah, he still has 1 more year.
Yeah, so I don't know. And the buyout, if you look at his buyout calculator on Cap Friendly, they literally save no money. It's buyout proof. So I don't even know if buying him out makes sense. So maybe they move him, but I don't know. They need to do something. And I think trading Mitch Marner might be that something because Marner is still a very, very good player. I think he could return maybe a strong defenseman or just get multiple pieces at the forward position and balance out your lineup better. But I think something's got to give.
Anthony, I always say this too. One of the greatest duos I got to watch growing up and watching hockey is Correa and Solani. And those two were just poetry watching those two. Both of them made the Stanley Cup Finals and with the Anaheim Ducks, but never together. Korea was 03, Solani was 07. You got to break up this core.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I always thought it was Nylander. Nope, it's Marner. It's Marner. Thank you very much. Have a good day. And you got to get him. You got to find a situation where you can get something back. You got to look for a.
And this is true because seeing what Nylander got and what Matthews got, Marner's going to want at least, and what Tavares has, he's going to want at least $12 million on his next deal. He is. So that's another thing when it comes to whoever trades for Marner, you're going to have to be able to pony up close to $12 million to keep him because I don't see why. Or maybe if it was on another team, he would take a little less. But I mean, specifically Toronto with what the other guys make, he's not going to take a discount when he sees what they have. So, yeah, if you trade for Mitch Marner, you're going to have to be prepared to sign him to a hefty extension.
And that you're going to center your team around him as well. Look, there's plenty of teams that'll line up for Mitch Marner, and they're going to go, I know what everybody's going to say. Hey, well, he doesn't do anything in the postseason. Well, he's not doing anything in the postseason now. There's a lot of players that they've done nothing in the postseason, and you go the playoffs, and you go, oh my God, what are you going to do? He's not a playoff player. And then just one day they show up and everything works. Look at Alexander Ovechkin. Alexander Ovechkin always had the knock of not being a good playoff player. Like, by the way, his 5 shots on net in this series and 0 points. But everybody knocks him, and then they go on and they win a Conn Smythe and then go, well, now he's a playoff player.
Well, let's just make one. This isn't all on Mitch Marner. It's just that unfortunately there has to be a guy that kind of takes the fall, if you will, and I think he's the most tradable player right now because again, you're not trading Nylander, you're not trading Matthews, Tavares. It's going to be hard to move. So I think it's a real possibility he could be moved. Stamkos is a UFA, so he's got no value in that regard. So that's not that's not happening. However, if the Leafs traded Marner, that could make room for them to sign Stamkos, which, if you remember, Marc, he came awful close to signing with the Maple Leafs before he decided to re-sign in Tampa way back when.
I'm pretty sure he does not regret that decision. By the way, do you remember what move happened literally an hour after he decided he was staying in Tampa? PK Subban was traded to the Nashville Predators. That was the same day.
That was an insane day.
Let's also look at the 2 games tonight, and then we'll start answering questions. I know you have a vet appointment in a little bit. Panthers, are they going to pounce into the second round tonight and finish off Steven Stamkos and the Tampa Bay Lightning?
Yeah, the Lightning got the win, obviously, last game, but the Panthers came close to, I think it was 4-1 Lightning, and the Cats came back to, at least get it close to 4-3. I think the Panthers finished the job tonight. The Lightning, still a very good team, obviously. But I think what you see with, when the Kings won their cups in 2012 and 2014 and, the Penguins had their run, eventually you start to flame out a little bit. And the Lightning had one of the best runs that we've seen over the last few years with back-to-back cups and then an appearance for a third year going for a three-peat and lost. I think they're going to start to maybe be on the downward turn here. Not to the extent that the Penguins and Capitals were, but I just don't think it's their time anymore. I think the Panthers are just a much better team. And I think the Panthers close them out tonight. So, I mean, I want to see it extend because honestly, the first round's my favorite just because there's so many games on to watch every night. And so I hope they extend the series, but my gut tells me Florida.
I got to go Florida, even though, again, you look at Sergei Bobrovsky and what he's done in this series. He's made spectacular saves. He also has an .874 save percentage. He's got to be better. But I think Florida's got to do this. Florida's going to close them out, I think. They're just too good. And you worry about a team like Tampa that can at least match up talent-wise and that maybe they're not done yet. Because if they win tonight, I think it's going 7.
Yeah, that's fair to say. I mean, yeah.
But yeah, and well, it's always fair to say because you got to figure the home team is going to win at some point.
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
game but then to the counterpoint of that was, last year with the Islanders, they won a game 5, they went back home for game 6, and they lost, so, um, even if the Lightning win tonight and they go back home for game 6, there's no guarantee that they win.
Yeah, sorry guys, I'm suffering from a little bit of a post-nasal drip. Allergies are killing me right now, even though it is a beautiful day outside. May go to the driving range if I can get some time ready. But also looking at game 3, Vegas losing in overtime, the very end of the first overtime. And that was versus the Dallas Stars. Vegas gets a win tonight and makes it 3-1.
No, you know what? I'm gonna say Dallas ties the series up. I mean, Dallas is just too good to just, flame out quickly. I think they're gonna tie the series, and give us our first series that's 2-2, in these playoffs. But I think Dallas wins here, and we have a hell of a series on our hand. They just have. I feel like just Dallas has too much depth at scoring to just kind of, like I said, just go out and roll over. They're too good of a team. So I think Dallas ties the series here.
Vegas was incredible in game 3, and Jake Ottinger just stood tall. He's had good first rounds. He hasn't had great playoff runs. He's had good first rounds though. And I think you might be right. I mean, we might be looking at 3-3 in this series.
And
But
Wyatt Johnson came up huge for them
yeah,
with
he's
with
been
the one-time
fantastic.
goal. He's a great player. He's a great, great player. And that's Dallas has a lot of these players. I mean, him and Hintz and Stankoven's coming up the ranks. They're just Mason Marchman could score. Their time's coming. I'd be surprised if they go down 3-1.
Yeah. And I kind of gotta agree with you on that one because I just can't imagine that. And it almost reminds you of LA and Anaheim 2015. I think the road team won, I think, the first 4 games in that series. And then it was home team
Mm-hmm.
20, and I think it was 2015 where John Gibson had to come in and play,
Yeah.
and then the home teams won the last 3. So we're just gonna see about that one. All right, guys, let's take some of your comments and your questions. Anthony's only gonna stay on for a couple more minutes, and um I'm actually going to be staying on with you guys till for a little while. Atlas is saying that the Panthers are going to close it out tonight. I like that one. Yeah, the Rangers definitely don't need Mitch Marner. I would wonder where Mitch Marner is a good landing spot for him, though.
I mean, I think any team in the NHL would love to have him. This guy is, a close to 100-point player. I mean, he's never cracked the century mark yet, but he's come close. This year he had a little bit of a down year, as opposed to some years before with being, I think he had like 85, but he's still a really good player. He's a great facilitator. He passes the puck well. He can score. He's got speed. He can kill penalties. So, even if Toronto looks to move him, it's not like they're just dumping this guy. They're gonna get good value for him. So I think a lot of teams would love to have Mitch Marner. Maybe even his old friend Kyle Dubas in Pittsburgh comes knocking, as the Penguins seemingly refuse to acknowledge they need to tear it down. So maybe they would look to get Marner, and I mean
Huh.
that would be a scary proposition to have Crosby play with Marner, but yeah, I think there'll be a plethora of teams that are involved in Mitch Marner if he's made available.
So if Mitch Marner is traded somehow to the Penguins, they find a way to afford Mitch Marner, but they couldn't afford Jake Gensel, who they knew that was a guy that would produce for them. Yeah, all right. That sounds like Kyle Dubas and Toronto's thinking. But by
I
the
mean,
way,
I think if Kyle Dubas had a crystal ball and would have seen how close Pittsburgh got, maybe he would have kept Jake Gensel. At the time, though, they were a tire fire at the trade deadline. I think at one point they had a 0.2% chance of making the playoffs, and then all of a sudden they went on a run and got close. Um, So I think that's why they traded Gensel. But I mean, yeah, I think the demand from Pittsburgh is to still try to win while Crosby's there. So, yeah, he'd be
I know
involved.
that's what the demand is, but I just want to look at this guy's stats because he was really good for the Penguins coming over. When everybody's going, oh, they got rid of Marner. Michael Bunting had 6 goals and 19 points. He was outstanding for them. And Crosby, this is just after the trade deadline. Crosby after the trade deadline, 10 goals, 21 assists. He picked it up. Brian Rust had 20 points. Malkin decided he was Evgeny Malkin again. It's sometimes that's something that motivates guys when you're like, oh, you don't think we're gonna win? We're gonna go do it. But no, sometimes that's just something that happens. But and I understand when people say this. Davis tried to say it. If the Pens have to try and win, you should just trade Crosby. No, I think some players in your franchise should be on your franchise for all time. That's what I think. And you should, those are the guys you associate with your franchise.
I think the belief here is that the Penguins are going to sign Crosby to an extension here come July 1st. So I don't think Crosby's going to go anywhere. And if that's the case, and Crosby very well does re-sign, I think Dubas is going to move forward with keep trying to, get them one last cup while they still have Crosby. So, yeah, if Marner's on the board, I wouldn't put it past Dubas to reach out. So we'll have to see what transpires there.
There was one of them, Steve S. put this up there. That what about Jonathan Huberdeau for Mitch Marner? And then you get a guy that's locked under years. You know what you get with him. I mean, I can see it happening, but I think that's a yes and trade. I think, Anthony.
It works from like the financials part of it because the salaries aren't really far off. But if you're the Maple Leafs and you're going to trade Mitch Marner, why are you going to trade him for an older player in Jonathan Huberdeau? It doesn't. It doesn't really.
The argument I would say is some people would tell you it's because he's locked up and you know what you're getting out of him.
Yeah, I know, but
productive player.
I think if they trade Mitch Marner, they're going to look for a player that's still pretty, that's younger, and maybe even a defenseman in a move for Mitch Marner. But yeah, I don't know. Again, I think. I just think, realistically, while it works salary wise, I don't see the Maple Leafs having much interest in Jonathan Huberdeau.
Yeah, I wouldn't see that. I mean, I know that's a 1-for-1. I just have to ask Craig Conroy if that's the case. I'd be looking at him and going, yeah, you're giving me a guy that's 1 year away from unrestricted free agency. Yeah, he's a premier player in this league. But
Thanks.
I look at that and go, no, you have to throw in more because Marner could walk in within a year and he's going to be unrestricted, walk out the door for nothing. And the Flames don't want to be in that situation. They didn't want to be in that situation with Elias Lindholm. Now, and it's a lot of those things that's happened since Gaudreau left.
One move I could see, and this is just kind of me thinking, because I think the Maple Leafs need a legitimate goaltender. And you heard, there were some rumors that Nashville may look to move UC Saros because they have Askarov waiting in the wings.
Yep.
And they kind of pumped the brakes on that, and Trotz said no, they weren't going to trade Saros. But I wonder if a Mitch Marner for UC Saros trade could be of interest. The Maple Leafs get a upper echelon to borderline elite goaltender, and the Predators get basically another player that can help Philip Forsberg, a pure offensive player, something that they've lacked in years. So just kind of like spitballing, but I think if they moved Marner, it would be for either an upgrade in defense or a legitimate starter. Marner's not going to go for picks or prospects. The Maple Leafs are still in win now mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, by the way, state of survival, just want to say this before, because I was going to hypothesize Nashville as a good landing spot for him. I was going to check their cap numbers and everything else, but let me just say this. I know what you're saying right here. No way Marner wants to play a Trotz style. Trotz doesn't play the Trotz style right now. As the GM, it's like it's
Yeah,
amazing. Barry Trotz became a
yeah,
GM and said, "Yeah, I want the game to be more open and to
yeah.
have a little bit more
No, yeah,
offensive fun."
I understand. I understand when he was a coach, he wanted his players to play a certain way, but I think as a GM, if he can get a guy like Mitch Marner, he would do it. Um, this David, this is actually this is actually interesting. Because it's a high end defenseman in Dobson who's still very young, but I don't know if I'm the Islanders, I don't, as much as I would love Mitch Marner, I don't trade Noah Dobson because I mean 70-point defensemen don't grow on trees. And I don't know. I mean, it's one of those moves I think could possibly work for both teams, but I wouldn't want to trade Noah Dobson. He's just you saw what he could do this year. I mean, before he hit a wall mark, he was on pace to score over 80 points, and then kind of it coincided with their their 6-game losing streak. He went through a rut and he slowed down offensively, but still, I wouldn't. I don't think I would trade Noah Dobson. But that's a move that I think would make Lou think long and hard. But at the end of the day, as State's saying here,
Yeah,
the number one D man is so much harder to find.
I'm gonna keep going from that and say you don't trade 25-year-old defensemen who are about to start. I think he's got
So
he's got one more year left at $4 billion,
yeah,
and then he still has RFA status
yeah,
after that. Nope.
yeah,
I don't trade him. He's not going anywhere. He has shown to me that he could be a number one defenseman in this league. And no, I'm not going anywhere. And by the way, Firestorm hits on a good point right here too. Is you have to wonder if the Devils are going to go for Soros or just try
yeah.
to keep Allen. There's Tom Fitzgerald's got to shake up his goaltending. He already has, but I mean,
I mean, Tom Fitzgerald even said when the Devils got bounced that he's going to look to make a move for a difference maker in net. So whether that's circling back to Jacob Markstrom, trying for UC Saros, I think the Devils certainly would be in the market for Saros.
I like what Mike's saying right here. Anthony owes me a thank you for using my birthday wish on
Yeah,
the.
I highlighted that last comment by him, and I certainly that's again I appreciate that, and believe me, my birthday's on May 6th, so while it wasn't my birthday, I was still wishing that the Islanders pulled that victory out, and I'll be using those same wishes again tomorrow, and go from there. I at least want them to get to Game 6 like they did last year. At least put yourself in a situation where you can win and go to a Game 7.
And that was a Friday night as well last year, right? That they lost.
Game 6? Honestly,
Yeah.
I have no idea. I don't remember.
Actually, I do think it was a Friday night. I remember watching that going, that's the one that went in at the end. But yeah, and for double OT too. But I you got to look at this. It's and that's a hard part about some of these things because it's going to take more than just Askarov in order to get Marner over there. And you're going to have to figure out a couple more players, NHL players that are ready. But Askarov could be a good thing. Sorry, I meant Soros could be a good thing to try to get him over there. Yeah, I think it would still need a little bit more. I can't remember the last deal I could think of with a goaltender that involved an everyday player of that caliber was Bertuzzi for Luongo.
Yeah,
And
you know what too, to keep in mind, the new Utah, their owner Ryan Smith, he had said that right away the Coyotes, Bill Armstrong, general manager, is going to have assets available to him they didn't have in Arizona. Like he's willing to spend, and not a new franchise, but he's got a team, and I think he's going to look to make a splash right off the bat here. Arizona's chocked full of picks and young assets. Don't be surprised if Marner's available. He's calling up and trying to reel in the big fish and trade for Mitch Marner. I mean, Arizona's got Dylan Guenther, Logan Cooley, a whole bunch of picks, prospects. I could bet you some of those players would pique the interest of Brad Treliving in Toronto. So
First,
I think Mr. Ryan Smith in Utah is going to be looking to make a big splash. And to that point, Marcus Mariota, if Steven Stamkos hits the UFA market, he's gonna. I think he's just gonna try to do something big. Don't be surprised if he opens up the purse strings and tries to lure Stamkos to Utah. I think he's gonna be a player. I think he's gonna be a player in free agency in the trade market this offseason.
Anthony, you want to talk about a guy getting the purse strings lifted? They have 5.389 in cap space that's available to them right now. And now that's right now. They're going to have Sean Dursey as an RFA. He had a pretty good season. They'll bring him back. And they got like 2 other RFAs that are on there, including JJ Moser. They have another RFA in Barrett Hayden. But they have, and Anthony, I'm laughing as I'm looking at this. They have their first round pick for the next 3 years, obviously. They have 3 picks in the second round this year, 3 picks in the third round, 2 picks in the fourth round. That's just this year. Then in the second round next year, 4 picks, and then 2 third round picks. 2 of them, by the way, the second round and third round ones come courtesy of the New York Rangers. And then 2 years later, in 2026, they got 3 second round picks. And Anthony, you might be right. I got to say the Coyotes got to make it.
I'm saying he already said he's going to be willing to spend and give them resources that they didn't have in Arizona. And, he's got a hockey franchise now, and he wants to build the excitement. And I think they said the first day there was already up to 20,000, season ticket subscribers, even though the building's only going to hold 14 to start. Yeah. So he's gonna want to create more excitement and buzz, and I can guarantee you whether it be Mitch Marner available through trade or Stamkos in free agency, he's going to do something to really generate the interest there.
And you could say what you will about the Maple Leafs wanting to win now, but they're the 3rd best team in that division, even still. And are they ever? I mean, are you ever going to do something with this? You're better off trying to get a soft reset. You identified Nylander as the guy you want to push ahead of Marner. Just go. Just do this. So
anyway, I would love to stay in chat, but I gotta take the pup to the vet for his checkup.
Absolutely, Ants, and take it easy.
Let me introduce. This is Bruno. He's a Bernedoodle. We already have a Bernedoodle, but we love the breed so much that we got a second one. He's 12 weeks old, so he's got to go get his next round of vaccines and shots. So yeah, so going to take him to the vet now. But guess Marc, depending on what happens after tomorrow's game, maybe I might come on and kind of do a recap. Hopefully Islanders can keep their season alive, but we'll talk. All right.
Absolutely. And now, hey, Anthony, looks like we're on the same thing.
BigAppleHockey, mine's mascot.
All right, Anthony.
He just said you suck. Look at that. He knows he's talking trash.
Oh, already talking trash about me. How about that?
Yeah. All right. I'll see you later.
All right. Take it easy. Bye. All right, and we're gonna just move me over here, guys. Let's stick on. Let's get some more Ranger questions. You guys want to talk some Rangers? Let's go into there. If you have any more Islander questions, feel free to ask them, or anything else that you guys want to talk about. I'm gonna go to 1 o'clock, so we got 25 more minutes. That's Marc's call up for small apple hockey. There it is. No. See, you know what? When you're doing most of the work, some things are going to be neglected, and I try to make sure I get it done. Yeah, this is my playoff beard. I usually like to be clean shaven, as you guys can see. That's where all the grays are. Firestorm's asking, do you find it more of a good sign or a bad sign that all 4 lines produce versus the big names and doing most of the heavy lifting? I gotta say, I think it's a great sign. I think it's a great sign. And a matter of fact, a guy that knows how to coach a team like that, I'm going to keep saying this. Peter Laviolette knows what he's doing, guys. There's a lot of things like you want to talk about 10 different goal scorers in that series. And the Rangers third line played much better than just a Capo Caco goal that was in there. They played and they control the play, and that's what third lines do. And you loved what you saw out of them. Let's keep going. And yeah, again, Igor Shesterkin was fantastic. Simpler, maybe they will be a sponsor. Oh, maybe need sponsors. Where do I think Perot plays next year? I think they're going to take their time with him. Maybe I think he might go back to Boston College. I don't think they're going to rush him, and I think that's the right thing with Drury. He's not rushing any prospects. They're going to just take their time. Mr. Hyde saying Rangers can't play games like they did in Game 4. Too many odd man rushes. I don't care, but that team will make you pay. Yes, Hurricanes will make you pay. But when the Rangers, and this will be a line in my playoff preview that's coming up this week on the Twitter page, but the playoff, but I'm gonna say when the Rangers stink, Igor Shesterkin is the deodorant, and he's able to equalize games and 930 save percentage. And I still don't really think he was a game Shesterkin. He was really good. Everest is right about this. Last night's game was very sloppy. If we play like that against Carolina, they will eat us alive. Trouba with a horrible turnover. And yes, less of Trouba has been better. So that's for starters. And as Jimmy R is saying, too many careless penalties. You're right about that one. Firestorm, I agree that all four lines rolling means you can't stay on a specific defensive plays against us. And I think the other thing is, where is Philip Hedl going to play? Because if he does come back, does he go to the third line and then you slot Wenberg down, and that means Matt Rampy comes out of the lineup? And I'd be cautious about doing that, because the funny thing is, the guys that you talk about, I mean, Jack Roslovic, he produced 2 goals in this series. He was sort of a non-factor, though, in a couple games. So I was kind of looking at him like that. It's like you look at the advantages and disadvantages. It's hard to figure out who's going to slot where. I like the idea, though, using Alexander Wenberg as your fourth line center and then making them better. I could also see them doing it with Philip Hedl a little bit, too. Boost that fourth line. All right. They're not going to rush Ottman or Perot in the future. Yeah. And Brendan Ottman is probably going to be up here next year. So if the Isles get bounced, do you think Big Lou gets canned? I think that is a great question. I don't think he gets canned. I think they have a parting of the ways, but basically it means he's canned. But I'll say this, if it's a tough one. It really is a tough one. I think there would be a parting of ways, because I don't see all the owners just saying, in Lou we trust. And Lou's kind of had his 2 years since the COVID season, and you could just blame COVID and all the problems that they had. They need to move on from him if that's the case. As Matt over at Ranger Central saying, Trouba was actually had a good series, apart from the bad turnover yesterday. And again, I thought it was. I think it's hilarious when I see broadcasts saying all the time how great Trouba is as a leader, because he's taking the demotion well. You think that, and thinking that you would feel to like him. Well, again, that's what leadership is, though. You should be able to go, I'll do whatever the team needs me to do. Because if you're going to have the gall to look at a teammate and say, give your ice time up for the team, the captain should be able to do that if that's what the team demands out of him. And the Rangers know that. They proved it in the month of March when Trouba was out. So 78, if you're watching right now, everybody, thank you very much. Make sure you are hitting that subscribe button if you're on with us. We usually do a big show every Wednesday. And there's the lower third one. We usually do a big show every Wednesday, but and actually this week we're gonna have Johnny Lazarus on. So for you guys watching, if it's not gonna be Wednesday night, it's gonna be Thursday night, we think. But we will get into a playoff preview should the series end tomorrow night. But we'll see about that. Let's get back to some of these comments. As Manny's saying right here, I think we see the third line of Hito Kako, Hito Wenberger, Kako, Cooley, Goudreau, and Veazey. I don't know. Will Cooley played really good in that first round. I think the number one thing I take out of that first round is a we're not going to take it attitude from the New York Rangers. So if Carolina is going to try to get in their heads and try to out muscle them, that ain't going to work. Even if Matt Rampy's not in the lineup, I don't think it's going to work. And you got to love what you saw out of Will Cooley. I thought he played a great series. David was saying, I'm so glad we closed it out. If I had to hear McElrath was a first-round pick one more time, I agree with you on that one. I mean, it's also because it brings up bad memories. My second video I ever did for this channel was the worst draft picks in Rangers history. McElrath is number 2. And we all know who number 1 is, right? Guy that's still tied in goals scored for the New York Rangers with everyone in this chat. All right. But let's go back to this. I think you stick with the centers being centers. But also that's the thing about having a coach with experience and a mindset and a structure. And I loved the way the Rangers came out this season. And they just shut down everyone with the 1-3-1 defensively early on, and they looked fantastic. Let's see if Heedle gives him a shot in the arm. I thought what was it? It was the Heedle. I think it was the Heedle Cooley Wheeler line was really good. But obviously we're not seeing Blake Wheeler ever again. I don't think it's that whether or not he's fragile. Looking over here about he needs Rampy to protect his fragile ass. But I like the way Matt Rampy played his game in the playoffs this year. Especially scoring his first goal and on his, I believe that was his first shot in the playoffs. But the thing is, when he gets to the third period, he's on the bench. So the Rangers, you're going to need more than that. You're going to need all your guys with all the talent you can to beat the Carolina Hurricanes. So Mr. Hyde saying, love Rampy. Probably too much, but he strikes fear in every other team that skates hard and gets to a spot, delivers a hit, and the referees call a penalty on him. It drives me crazy how I look at some of these penalties he's taking, and he's just so big. I don't know if the refs know how to call penalties with him. I mean, Rampy is not a center. Rampy does not have the skating ability to be that. Rob is saying, how many games would it take for the 94 Rangers to beat the 2024 Rangers in a 7-game series? That's an interesting question. I'm going to go with they don't. I think this is a better skating team. I think this is a better checking team than the 94 team. And I think they're equal in net and they're equal with your premier defensive player. That being said, I'll give the you know what? I'm going to turn it around. 94 Rangers win, and I'll be in 7 games. Brian Leach is the difference. Marc Messier is the difference. But you got the battle-hearted guys. I think one of the most important guys in this series was a 7-point performance from Mika Zibanejad. You knew where Mika Zibanejad was on the ice. He played really well. We've talked about him being a slow start in the playoffs, and it's not the case. He brought his game. The smirk Panarin gave Wilson. Did I see that? No, I want to see that picture if you can. I haven't been able to see that. But again, I was amazed with the way Panarin played in this series. I know everybody's going to look at the stat line and say, "Oh, he's got only 3 goals, 3 points." Yeah, he had 2 goals. They were both game winners, and it's such a weird thing. I think too. The Rangers had 2 goals from Panarin. Both of them were game winners. They scored 2 shorthanded goals. Both of them were game winners. I think when you look at Panarin in the series, I thought he showed that the eye test is he's much different right now. And I don't think he was invisible in the series. I think he was everywhere in this series, and that's what you want to see. I remember when Aaron Hicks used to demand playing time on the Yankees. Meanwhile, he didn't deserve squats. Also, when did Trouba get demoted? Up until this series, I didn't realize he got demoted. No, he got demoted. He's on the third pairing. It's him and Eric Gustafsson. And Gustafsson, I thought, played pretty well in the third period last night. I'm not a fan of Gustafsson or his game. That's a great one, James. James saying that the 94 team would get swept by the 24 team. Messi is in his 60s. I always love that line. I forget who it was. It was Ty Cobb or if it was Babe Ruth. I think both of them had that line at one point. Oh, what would you hit if you were in the game today? Probably 325. 325? Yeah, I'm 64 years old. Say there was the worst thing to happen to the Raiders. No, say there being the worst was like he say they were supposed to come draft talent and develop, but instead he came just to get high price free agents, and he never had a plan. And you saw what happened when the cap came into play. Say there was actually better, but as we're talking about it right here, Hugh Jessamine, Hugh Jessamine, the Rangers legend, I'll tell you. All right. I don't know if it's that he'll have a shorter career at center because I think he needs the freedom to move around. If you're at the wing, usually you can get somebody to move to the wing. This has been part of the problem, guys, with Filipino in his career. Is he a wing? Is he a center? And in the Rangers tried him at both. I would still say he's a center. I think he's too good of a skater to be a center. And he's produced very well for the Rangers in the playoffs. And it would be, if they could get him, that's another one. I think Ryan Lindgren was banged up pretty bad in the series. That's one of those guys that this next week off is really going to help. I kind of miss my Big Apple hockey jersey that I would have in the top corner over here. But right now that's in the wash. Actually, it's in the laundry that's in there. So, Justin, I thought the 5-on-5 play was actually very good. I know everybody's worried right now about their 5-on-5 play because of the regular season. I thought they were very good. I think the Connor McMichael goal was more out of in game 2. That was more out of Lindgren poking the puck, and it just landed into an unfortunate spot. There were 2 power play goals in that game. The Faravari goal in game 1, I think, was a bit of a lucky deflection because it went off of skates. Then let's see, the Carlson goal, that was a weak one. But yeah, I know what you're also looking at. You're also thinking about that Hendrix Lapierre goal last night. You know, that was a guy that was first round draft pick. Give him some credit. But Red showed up last night. I don't think Red disappeared. I think something like guys, I say this all the time. Other guys get paid too. So I got to see that smirk. I got to find that smirk. That's a good one. Dolan was the worst thing to happen to the Rangers. That one's right. Dolan, when he stopped paying attention to the Rangers and only pays attention to the Knicks, best thing for the Rangers. He just signs the checks and gets out of the way. Does Hito replace Rempe next round if we get the Canes? John, I think that is the case. I think he does. We've been discussing this all throughout the chat, and everybody, you're still with me on this. I do think. And thanks, Firestorm. I do think I think you see Heedle in there. You're going to need more skill and more talent to beat the Canes. Even though I think Rempe had a good game against the Canes about a month ago. I think the Rangers, you're going to see them really, I think they're going to really try to slow. Well, I want to say slow down the game, but that's not even right, too. I would love to see Zach Jones playing the next series over Eric Gustafsson. But we'll see about that. At least he's ready to go. Because Zach Jones had a really good game against the Canes the last time around. Lindgren did play hurt, but when does he not? That is true. Trocheck, is his contract almost a bargain at this point? I think his contract is exactly what you thought it was going to be. I love Vinny Trocheck. I thought he was great. Sean, I don't think he's the next captain. I think the next captain is going to be in-house, and I think it's going to be Adam Fox. I do think he deserves an A. As Matt was saying over Ranger Central, Panarin played well, but not at an elite level. He will need the final elite level in the next round, and most likely to play against the Canes. Nobody's debating this guy's talent. But the question is, can they guide him through the way? And again, I'm going to bring this up. The Peter Laviolette effect is really showing right now. There's also another person that's affecting something from off the ice, and I'll get into that in a second. But you see what Laviolette is doing and how he's very steady. If they need to make an adjustment, they make an adjustment. When he needs to step on the gas, he does. He kind of eases off when he doesn't need to. I think if they get the Canes, that's the guy you want to make sure he knows what he's doing, and he does. Again, the guy has seen every single situation. Keep in mind, because a lot of people freaked out on me about a week before the regular season was ending. Friends of mine were calling me up. Oh, the Rangers are going to get bounced in one round. All right, no, they're not. Don't worry about it. Laviolette has coached, and I've said this before on the main show, the President Trophy winning Hurricanes to their first President Trophy. He lost the first 2 games to Montreal at home, went to Montreal, won the next 4 games, and then en route to the Stanley Cup. And I think the Edmonton series, I think it went all the home teams won. I have to double check that. Then you have with Philadelphia, he's down 3-0 to the Bruins in the series. He makes it 3-0. He ties the series at 7. In game 7, they were down 3-0, and they still won that series. Guys, one thing I'm going to bring up with that, and there's 4 teams that have won a series coming back from 2003. 2 of them have won Stanley Cups. The 43 Maple Leafs and the 43 Maple Leafs and the 2014 LA Kings. Sorry about that. Because I was thinking the 77 Islanders, but that wasn't the case yet. And the 2010 Flyers. And all those things you have with Laviolette, those are those experiences that come in to him when they are going to deal with adversity. And the other guy that's affecting things from off the ice is Jonathan Quick. I think he's helping Shesterkin in his preparation for every single playoff game. Keep him in that mindset. Shesterkin gave up a bad goal in game 3. Oh, well, that was the last one he let in. And if we, as Justin said right here, if we play the Canes in the second round, they're going to give us a run for our money because of their relentless forecheck. Yes. But I think what the Canes are starting to really show is that their relentless forecheck's great, but they also have gaps in their play. And some of these goals that you're just seeing, like just Just fire the puck on net. Don't look for the perfect pass. I know it's hard because it's the New York Rangers and everything has got to be the perfect play. So that's what you're going to see. Trocheck is born to be the captain of the New York Rangers. He is definition of New York Rangers player. I like it. He's balanced. He can bring offense. He brings a tenacity. Yeah. All right. And again, Rampy is 18-2-1. The Rangers are 18-2-1 with Rampy in the lineup. I understand what you're saying on that, Mike. I just can't take Filipino and leave him on the bench. And if Filipino's healthy, you got to go with that. David saying if they were to play Jones, it would be against the Caps to get his feet wet. Then that's true. The only way Jones is coming in right now if it's an injury. Firestorm's touched on a good one right here. My money would be on Fox or potentially Lafreniere if they could sign him long term. Fox is obvious, and Lafreniere never gives up. As Evan on Ranger Central said last night, Lafreniere with a very quiet 4 assists in the series. You will see a better Lafreniere. You'll see a more visible one. But when you looked at it at the end, going, wait, he had 4 assists in the series? Yeah. If the Cavs were to get all over Panarin and he fought, and because they were all over him, Troch broke out. I think Panarin was great despite the only 2 goals. Yeah, and that's the thing. If he's creating the space for Trocheck, that's what you have to get. Now, because space contracts in the playoffs. Fox is great. Only deserves an A on his chest. And I can understand that reason why. Oh, everybody's just making Vinny Trocheck the next captain. I don't know. Well, he's an American. And the last now 4 captains for the Rangers have been Americans. And Callahan, McDonough, Drury before Callahan, and now Trouba. So, yeah. Thanks, Justin. It was the 42 Maple Leafs. Damn it. It was still the 77 Islanders, though, right? And the refereeing was absolutely terrible. It was absolutely terrible. I'm just going without notes, guys. So, yeah, it was against the Red Wings. Darn it. Thought it was amazing because up until 2004 in a best of 7 series, nobody did it in baseball, and then the Red Sox did it. Only 2 teams did it in hockey. It's been done twice in the last 20 years. So let's see about that. Quick is the kind of guy younger players look over to. The older brother figure necessity. Confide in and get advice. Quick has been there many times before. Yes, and those 2 cup runs. That's exactly why you get the veteran to have the presence. Kane's weak goaltending, but they mask it very well. And yes, and I understand that you look at the playoffs and you see Freddie Anderson, 2.07 goals against average and a save percentage of 920. And then you see the goals that have gone in and you're going, I don't know about that one. And I think the Bruins might be making the best decision on sticking with Jeremy Swayman. Dominic, unfortunately, I have not taken a look as much at the Wolfpack playoff run because after all, the Wolfpack made a run to the finals in 2014 and not like we saw dividends out of that. So, by the way, it is itchy having facial hair. And yes, there is facial hair on me right now. Matador, how we doing? And you're asking, is Ovechkin done? I don't think he's done yet. I think the number one problem with Ovechkin is I don't think he's got a playmaker that knows how to work with him. And that's why he's been very inconsistent this season all the way through everything, like the entire year. I mean, he went on the run after the, I think it was January 8th, I said it was. And I mean, 6 goals in the first 3 months of the season. But I think he's just they got to find ways to get on the puck. Does anyone know if Kreider is dealing with an injury? A lot of lazy moments versus trash Capitals. No, that's Chris Kreider. I am the president of the Chris Kreider fan club. No, that's Chris Kreider. Kreider is, when Kreider's hot, he has no comparison. When he's cold, he looks like Antarctica. It's just his character. He plays too much away from the puck, and his entire game is away from the puck. So I thought Kreider had a good series, and he plays well defensively too. Everybody overlooks that, but worst team. Hold on. I'll get down to Matador's next one. That's a good one. Penalties in game 3, many were questionable. I kind of agree with that one a little bit. I didn't exactly like it, but at least it was good officiating. Biz thinks the Rangers are going to get lit against Carolina. Well, here's the simple thing. Igor Shesterkin's stealing a game. The Rangers are going to have a game they're not at their best. Igor Shesterkin's going to steal that game. Is Freddie Anderson going to do that for Carolina? Because that'll be one of my questions that I'll be asking Johnny when he's on. And we might have some time to get our resident Carolina enthusiast Pete on with me. And when it comes to that, I don't know which goaltender they go with. They're going with Anderson. All right. But when Carolina's not at their best, can Anderson do it? He's capable, but what has he really shown that's made you realize you could do that? Shesterkin, on the other hand, absolutely stole that game from Carolina in March. And the Rangers, I think, they're going to play their game, but they're going to work at contracting everything, making it a little bit slower, taking away space. When their specialty teams were good and they were just porous and they couldn't get their forecheck going back in January, it was a game I was at. It was just horrendous. And a matter of fact, Igor had part of that. I think that's the one thing Igor's got to do is simplify when he's playing the puck. The one in January, he'd bat the puck into the corner and the Hurricanes would recover it. That's something they're obviously looking for in their game film. Worst team swept by the Rangers, Isles in 94, Thrashers, that's 08, that's 07, or the Caps this year. Worst team that was swept by them. That is a great question. And I guess in order, I'm going to go 2024 Caps. Then it's the 07 Thrashers and the Isles of 94 after that. Isles of 94 were actually a pretty good team, but they just went up against the Rangers, and the Rangers just absolutely let them know they don't even belong on the same part of the ice. I loved it when Ray Ferraro cheered that the Islanders scored. I think they were down 5-0 when he scored the first goal of the series. So the first 17 goals were scored. And yeah, Mr. Hyde, I like those odds for Laffy. Let's see what he's going to bring. He's going to be better in the next series. Firestorm, most professional gambler and gamblers have the Canes whipping the Rangers. They're the favorite for the cup. The Rangers were around 7 at the start of the playoffs, if memory serves. Yeah, they were still at the start of the playoffs. Probably a little bit of the curse. But you know what? Again, no, there's something that's different about this team. I think we're going to see that. All right. I said 1 o'clock. We're going to go 6 more minutes, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for joining. And yes, I also think the refs have trouble calling it against Rampage. The Rangers are assessed a 5-minute major for winning. Look, by the way, everybody, do you think Adam Fox embellished that call last night when it was knee on knee against Jensen? Because if you think he embellished, do you also think it was right for Wilson to go after him? I think Wilson is a piece of crap. That's simple. Obi needs to lose some weight. He's just got to adjust physically, maybe. But Alexander Ovechkin, he when did he have the puck in this series? Speaking about guys that played away from the puck, he never had the puck. He never controlled the puck. Give the Rangers some credit in this. Bills is half a hard on. Well, I would say a semi on that one. Yeah, but yeah, that's true too. The Wolfpack's got a ton of talent, but I think it's the it's hard for me to judge on the AHL team when you're asking about the team, because individually speaking, we're going to be plucking the Rangers are going to be plucking players off them, and then sometimes when you go, well, the team, what do they got left? Well, it's because every prospect you want is here. Okay, for all the talks about Gensel, to me, he's not been noticeable so far. He only has 4 points, and the goal he scored was on an empty netter. That's true. However, may I remind you, the last series he played against the Rangers, he had 6 goals in the first 5 games. Be very worried about Jake Gensel. Jake Gensel was a Ranger killer. If Igor stays hot, they'd be Carolina for sure. Yeah. Johnny Red saying, what I want next year is for Rampy to get Wilson. Reeves didn't do it in the 2 years. He wasn't here, and he has to answer for going after our stars. Yes, but also, by the way, there was a time where Wilson was trying to get Rampy to go. Rampy didn't take the bait. So, but right now it's going to be a nerve-wracking series for sure. Yeah, of course, because Canes are. I think this is the best team the Rangers have faced in the playoffs since the '94 Devils. That's how good the Canes are. I mean, even better than the 2014 Kings and the 2015 Tampa Bay Lightning, and even the 2021 Tampa Bay Lightning. I think the '94 Devils are the best ones they've had. Thrashers were a 3 seed and a division winner, but also as soon as Sean Avery hit anybody, the Thrashers folded like a deck chair. And let's not forget, Michael Nylander picked them apart in Game 3. One of the most forgotten Ranger hat tricks in the postseason. By the way, everybody else get the trivia question last night? That one was easy for me because of Poised for Glory. All right. Ranting Rangers said, need Laffy to get going to score goals against the Hurricanes. Yep. All right. And you know what? The thing about Lafreniere is he's been so quiet, just kind of in the entire season. But his play has been fantastic. Don't forget, Lafreniere basically got Panarin his first goal because of the check that he threw on Iorio and destroyed him. And then Trocheck gets it, slides over to Panarin, wide open, and then that's it. Look, this week off is going to be big for the Rangers. Big in every way. Because they're going to be, right now, they're already looking at film. They might be taking the day off. And you know they got the mindset, too, because you got full commitments out of guys like Mika Zibanejad. And they're going to be focused. They'll have to shake off some rust, but we'll see about that. I think the Rangers Canes are the 2 best teams in the league. Meetings too soon. That'll be better in a final. Could have been, but you know what? Don't ever discount this. And this is why when people want to say, oh, they should get rid of divisions and stuff like that, play your divisions. I never want to go to a 1 versus 16 format. That is terrible. That's a terrible idea. Because one good thing about divisional format is you cut down the travel. If you're the New York Rangers, you win the President's Trophy, and the worst team in the league is the LA Kings. Then they got to go back and forth on cross-country flights. I know what everybody's saying, but no, it's just not right. You take your teams in any order that they come, Mike. You're right about that one. And I think right now, it might be the time to get the Canes. because the Canes were not good in the second round last year. They were not. They were letting in goals left and right. Now, my friend Pete would say, well, they did score goals left and right. Yeah, but the New Jersey Devils weren't that great either. All right, guys, I'm going to actually start up the music right now. Let's get a couple more comments in. We'll get bye-bye going. And the way the Candy Cans are playing against the Islanders, I believe Game 7 is possible. I think it's actually... It all depends. I mean, you don't know what the Islanders are from period to period and shift to shift. I was talking about that before, earlier in the broadcast, that they were just being stifled in the second period. Matt Barzal pops one in, and then suddenly, holy shit, they're winning. Justin saying, speaking of 3-0 series comebacks, the Rangers almost did against the Bruins in 1939. That one I didn't know. I did know Bernie Nichols, the only playoff hat trick in Game 1 of the 1990 second round. Mike is saying, Islanders in losing have played more good hockey than the Canes. Yeah, but also, if the Canes, you want to say the Canes were playing worse hockey than them, I would also have to say the Canes then, when it came time for them to score a goal, they needed it, and they got it. Firestorm saying, I like the divisions. I just want East and West to do 1 versus 8 and 2 versus 7. But the thing is, if you do that, I think you have to still do with divisions, and 2 would still be the division winner on that. I don't know which one you would have a harder time against. Because if you have a hard time against the Islanders, I think that's because Sorokin would be in that. You looked at the series against the Islanders. I mean, they beat... Wait, did they beat Varlamov? Varlamov won the first game at UBS. Varlamov won that one. But I'm not a big believer in what the Islanders are doing, but also I think they're playing all right. Because we could talk about the Capitals and whether or not they were worthy enough to be a playoff team. The Islanders were 1 6-game win streak away from not being in the playoffs whatsoever. So Carolina is definitely the tougher matchup, I think. Mr. Hyde was saying Ovechkin was just outplayed, had room to do nothing. Yeah. And that's exactly it. And the only time he had any time, I think, was that first game on the power play, and he missed the net 3 times. When you have one of the greatest one-timers in NHL history, it's what happens. I'll just play like the Rangers did. It's Stanley Cup final at all times. The hard part about that, B-Rye, is that if you do that, it's like tensing a muscle. Sooner or later, you have to relax. So I think what the Islanders need to do is just be methodical, grind out every period, every shift, and get it done. If the Islanders can score first tomorrow night, that would be huge. Firestorm saying Ovechkin was an active detriment to the Caps. He was the 3rd assist on that shorty. Yeah. Well, on that shorthanded goal by Goudreau, you block the shot and that's it. It's also what you get with guys that are squeezing sawdust out of the sticks. It just happens. But once again, 2 game-winning shorthanded goals. Never thought I'd ever say that in all my time watching hockey. Never mind. All right. Guys, we're going to cut it off here because I'm going to go grab some lunch. And we're going to have a lot more hockey to be discussing. We're going to have at least 4 more New York Ranger games in the next round to break down. We have Wednesday night. We'll probably be looking at the rest of the playoffs. Hopefully we get some Game 7s. I want to see at least a Game 7. And also, I don't want to see round 2 start before round 1 is over. Finish the damn round. Teams that sweep earn this time off. So, NHL, do not schedule another round out of for no reason. Don't be the NBA where they were still playing like game 6 of the first round when they were starting the second round. All right, guys. Thank you very much, and we will talk to you soon. Wednesday night, big show, and this week we're going to have Johnny Lazarus on, so stay tuned for that.